well now. You can almost sort of see the sort of shape of this tree sort of coming together as well. But this is where we're going to use sort of the bonsai and penjing techniques. I'm going to bring them right down, pads of foliage. Here's a nice little apex sort of developing up the top there. I just want to sort of thin out a little bit. That's a nice branch, thinning towards the top. This one's a bulky branch, so I don't reckon we're going to do this branch here. I'm going to give you, again, another gin to work with through there. Nice little branch there to give us a bit of variety into it. This comes up through there. I'm also going to drop this down. These are starting to cross. I've got 3 branches all in one area. I want to thin them out as well. This one is crossing this one's not crossing anything. I'm inclined to eliminate this one. I generally take the middle one out when I've sort of got 3 like that one, so I think we'll go through and take that out of the equation. We can gin that. We want some reasonable sort of size wire on this bloke, because I'm going to get some bends in through here, so you're probably going to be jumping up to sort of 5mm sort of wire on that one. These can sort of take a little bit smaller gauge of wire, and this one's going to have a fair bit into it, so I'm going to be able to twist that tree as well. This one's not going to be much at all, it's just a nice cute little branch sitting in there. So you can go through and do some wiring. I just would like to shorten that down. Again, we've got branching out on the end but not much in here, so this is where the development of the bonsai is going to be. I may wire this down as a branch, but I want all this branching which will just to grow on out there as well. You're not going to have a finished tree tonight. You'll have the basic structure of a tree tonight, what we're working on, and then you've got to grow it on from there as it goes as well. So this one is just way too long, and I have to cut it back into here. But what we're going to do, I'll do it up through there, just so you can have an idea. We'll gin the end of the branch as well. So that's where the branch is going to finish, so you can just gin that end part for me, and then we can sort of wire out through there. These are all a pretty good sort of length, and this guy here is a pretty good length as well. Or should I say this person, this tree, a pretty good length as well, and that's a pretty good length as well. So you can go through and work on some wiring through there.
Done.
Done? Look at that. Nice work. Okay. So the more of that you're doing, there's going to be less of this wiring you sort of have to do like these other guys sort of come on to as well. Just excuse me a minute. Okay. Now, is that sitting up for you as well? Have you got any of your wedges floating around? Any of the club people got their box at the back there? Here we are. Okay, I'll take that, and maybe it's starting to struggle. Just wedge it on there to hold it up. That's a ticket. Big one over there, I'll hold it. I'll keep this one handy for it as well. Right, you've got a wire. This big fella up here, but we're going to get a pretty big bend in here as well. So we want a fair bit of wire coming here. Don't wire these 2 branches with it. We're just going to wire this one with some big wire and keep it in really nice and tight over there, and then we'll sort of come out.
Bring it up through the trunk here.
Yeah, I want you to go probably at least four times around the trunk before we sort of come out onto the tree as well, and then we'll get this out of your way. Then we come up and follow this line. Just come out as far as you can. If you sort of the bigger wire is starting to get a bit tough, I'm happy for you to stop it here. Then drop down to a smaller gauge of wire. But when you start the next gauge of wire, don't start where the other wire finishes. Again, you've got to come back and come around the branch or the part of the tree you're wiring about 3 times, and then continue the movement. If you just have one piece of wire coming along, stop, then add another piece of wire without overlapping the wire, you've got a weak point in there, there's no wire on it, so it's not going to bend where you want. You've actually got to overlap this wire onto the previous wire if you're dropping down sides, then it's all locked together and you can keep your bending actions going as well.
How far are you going to bring that down?
Probably down here somewhere.
No, so you need a fairly heavy.
Yeah, fairly heavy. You're going to be looking at sort of some, probably, I reckon, looking at what we've got hanging around over here. Oh, the ugly gold stuff. I'd rather go for some of this. There you go, that piece there is a perfect length for you. It's nice and black, so I'm not using the gold stuff. Okay, with that side, do you want me to get it started for you and then you can coil around, or you're going to... You'll go with it? Don't want you to blow that shoulder to start with. You've got another hour or so to go yet as well. Okay. Just make sure he's away with it. Okay, let me see how these guys are going. Very good. So that's where I can wear a white shirt to come up and do a demo with, because I'm still not really touching the trees. I'm just doing a bit more sort of pointing and things as well. So Right. Fertiliser with your tree. Fertilise your trees small amounts, but more often. Whether you want to use organic or inorganic, it's totally up to you. Whether you want to use dynamic lifter, and then everyone in the neighbourhood knows you fertilise your trees, or you want to use something like Osmocote or Nutricote, it's up to you. But as long as you fertilise regularly. You can use liquid fertiliser whenever you want to use your liquid fertiliser, if you've got plenty of time to prune your trees back, because it's going to make them grow. But don't just use liquid fertiliser as well. You've got to use a balanced fertiliser. It's like us, if we take a vitamin B or a multivitamin, we take that, but if we've still got to eat breakfast, lunch and dinner as well. We don't just live on our multivitamins as well. So don't just fertilise your trees on a liquid fertiliser. It's not going to be any good for them. Unless you do something like hydroponics, but then they're fertilising every day with liquid fertiliser because they've got to feed it every day as well. If you use a really good organic sort of fertiliser on your tree, or any, well, not organic, a good all-round fertiliser on a tree, you don't have to use liquid fertilisers either. If we eat a healthy breakfast, lunch and dinner, we don't have to take our multivitamin or our Berocca, high vitamin B things, unless we have a big weekend. You might take your Berocca. But generally, you don't need your vitamins as well. I never use liquid fertiliser on my trees, and they're all sort of very sort of healthy because I use a sort of nice sort of quality fertiliser. I use Osmocote just because that sort of suits me as well, and I sort of get it at a good price. Nutricote's a very good sort of fertiliser as well. It actually blends in a little bit better with the soils. I told the guys tonight I'm not going to hassle them at all about their sort of wiring. It's more important to get the wire on the trees. It's more here to sort of teach you a little about your styling of the trees as well. But yeah, fertilise your trees, a small amount, but regularly, and more what they tell you to use on this container as well. They might tell you with an Osmocote to actually put 1 table, so I just don't want to get whacked with this piece of wire, 1 tablespoon of fertiliser for that sort of size pot. Don't use 1 tablespoon, use 2 tablespoons, because what the manufacturers are doing, they want that fertiliser to last as long as possible with using a little amount, because that's a good selling point for them as well. So generally we're using double of the fertiliser on these sort of trees, and you're not going to do anything wrong with it. And if it's something like Osmocote or these brands that say it lasts 6 months, it means you don't fertilise every 6 months. It means that last tiny little micro drop of fertiliser in that grain will last 6 months because, again, it's a selling point. After about 3 months, you're starting to lose out on the amount of fertiliser on the tree, so you'll be re-fertilising your tree generally after about 3 months. So you've got a steady flow of fertiliser all the way sort of constantly through the tree as well. Yep, someone else needs to go to the bar. Next. As well. But yeah, so it's small amounts, more often regularly rather than one just big dumping of fertiliser every 6 months. It'll just leach through and you'll just be fertilising the weeds under your bench as well. So it's less amounts more often. But whether it's organic or inorganic, it doesn't matter. Whatever sort of suits you as well. That's sort of the preference for it. Spraying for bugs and things on your tree. If your tree is really healthy and vigorous, they're not going to get a lot of sort of bugs and insects and things as well. It's like us, if we're really healthy, we don't get sort of colds and flus as much as well. Nothing saying about you, Val, that you're getting a few colds and flus lately. It's just you're working too hard. That's a different sort of ball game as well. But there will be certain bugs that will come along, but then there's natural insect pests. It's okay to get a sort of few bugs on your tree. It's not going to hurt the tree. It's only when it becomes down to plague proportions, you'll start sort of having to do those sorts of things and spraying for your tree as well. And there's a lot of sort of sprays, whether it's chemical sprays or non-chemical sprays, is up to you. But if you think about it, when I sort of teach horticulture in the chemical units, my students there, someone come in and say, oh, not using chemicals at all, not using chemicals at all, it's got to use environmentally friendly things. You can do, but you think about some of your environmentally friendly things. If I want to kill the aphids on something, I could use something like Maverick, which is a nice sort of easygoing chemical. Or to say, that's a chemical, don't want to use a chemical. Okay, what are you going to use? Chili garlic spray. Fine, nice healthy chili garlic spray. So it's going to kill the aphids. But it's also going to kill the ladybirds and the praying mantis. It's still going to kill everything else on the tree because it's a killing sort of thing. And then your chili garlic spray, how did they make the chili garlic spray? What amount of cooking did they do in using gas or fires or coal and all these other things that made this nice environmentally friendly chili garlic spray? It was probably the same amount of sort of cooking and things they did to make a chemical which is more effective and can be more selective than what they use on there as well. So you can still use your chili garlic spray, and everyone knows you use chili garlic spray because it smells like it, but it's still going to kill all the bugs. Just because it's an environmentally friendly chemical, it's still going to kill everything. So if you want, you can use a chemical, and a lot of time the chemicals are a bit more controlled within the tree as well. So be careful how what they say is environmentally friendly is not necessarily always as environmentally friendly as you sort of think as well. So we'll go into it in a lot more detail when we all do the Certificate 3 ChemCert course, which we won't go into tonight. I've just sort of said just be wary of environmental sort of friendly stuff and read the label more. How did they make the stuff as well? Neem oil and things are doing it. It's blocking up all the sort of pores of the plants because it's an oil, it's environmentally friendly, but it's still not that healthy for the plant as well. So some of your chemicals are going to be better for it as well. Okay, the wiring is sort of ticking along on these trees. You can sort of see a bit of difference within the trees that are shaping up as well. How much more we've left on this tree, going for our more sort of bonsai sort of look tree, and very much our sort of penjing tree as well. How'd you go with that wire? Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. I might get it just a little bit of smaller wire because we might need to brace that down as well. I'll have that one handy for us. Oh. Okay, that one's ready. Reckon it's going to bend? Yeah, let's have a quick sort of try in here. So it's a maximum pressure, minimum velocity. Don't just grab it and go like that. Grab it, get a really good firm hold of it and do it nice slowly, down slowly as well. Don't just bend there, otherwise it's just going to tear away at the sort of trunk line. Brace and hold where the branch joins into the trunk, and that's where you're going to get your bends in there. Hold it over your hand as well and bend things down. So I just wanted to see if this is going to hold down as well. Yeah, so it's going to sort of come down as well. So we've got the sort of movements there and it's sitting in nice movement, so it's just going to hold. So next time I'd always go bigger wire than I need to, because I know if you're going to bend it, it's going to hold as well. Rather than put one say, oh, it's just sort of going to hold and we have to put a guy wire in. Yeah, if you use the bigger wire you need, then it's going to bend to where you want and hold as well. So you're sort of borderline there, but we'll work with it. I'm not going to make you sort of take it off and do it again. I'll just get this little thing out of our way as well. So with, let's say this one here, see how it's sort of coming down like that, and see how it's sort of only just sort of getting there. So when you're sort of doing more wiring, we'll go bigger wire. Same with this one again. You've really sort of gone a little bit sort of small on your wire. Yeah. This one, I think we're going to need to do another run of wire, otherwise it's just not going to sort of go as well. So I'll sort of bring that down. Straight away, so it's just sprung straight up. So I won't make you take that wire off. We'll just do another run. Normally club wire, it doesn't matter. Use as much as we like as well. But we'll just do another run of wire. But go another size up in the run of wire through there as well, because you're going to follow your nice lines through there. That's fine. This one here we can work with. That'll hold for us. This one here we'll go for a bigger gauge of wire, so we can do it in one. Because this one here I'm actually going to bring it down and actually put a little twist in it as well. So I've got to make sure it sort of moves as well. And this will be fine as well. We'll wire that as well. We'll get them done, then we'll come back and deal with the crown. I tend to, as most people maybe sort of know, you start from the bottom and work your way up. The crown or the apex of the tree, I've got to stop calling it crown. That's a real sort of horticultural sort of term. I remember in bonsai mode now. The apex of our tree, which is in this neck of the woods, is always going to be the last thing I do. And also I like to leave myself plenty of options as well when it gets there, rather than trimming out too much as well. You know, this could be the apex line here, or all of this could be the apex as well. It'll sort of see how it evolves within the tree as well. But we'll continue our wiring on those as well. We haven't got a lot of there. They're still sort of quite nice. Got a fair bit of moisture in there as well, considering the weather we have. The trees are generally pretty healthy. The needles are sort of quite sort of spiky and sort of in the hand as well. So that sort of tells me that the tree's healthy. There's not a lot falling off the tree as well, which is really good considering sort of some of the hot weather you sort of had up here, and especially over the last sort of 2 days before today as well. The tree's sort of handling the heat as well, so they're a healthy looking tree. If I was dabbling in these trees and there was needles falling off all over the place, I say, oh, this tree's a little bit dry, it's shedding needles, it's doing it on purpose, it's just a bit too much. But these are all sort of pretty good as well. Probably need a bit of a feed. The colour's not as good or pinging out as much as they could do, but they're okay. They're not sick. Just a little bit sort of off within there as well. This one's got better colour to it as well. You can sort of, where you can sort of see the difference between the two colours of the trees. They're working well in that. How far did we get out to the end? Oh, very good. I think we need to sort of get this bend happening in here before we go any further. Otherwise we'll have your wiring things that don't necessarily need to be wired.
Yeah, which one's the partner up?
Partner up with it, yeah. If you think, because you've done a sort of fair bit in between, don't worry about just come around up from the base and just do one rather than partner up. You don't always have to do partner up branches. It's okay just to do sort of one branch as you go as well. Yeah, yeah. Other people are sort of really strict on saying you've got to, you know, double pair this one with that one and pair that one with that one. No, if it's not going to work, just do single branches as well. It's quite all right.
Okay.
Yeah. I never had sort of formal training with one master where I've spent many months with, or, you know, regular time with them. I'm a person that's travelled to lots of conventions over sort of 25 years, now at least 2 a year, and learnt from lots of people. I get little bits from everybody and bring it all together and create my interpretation of the art forms as well. I did initially do my Japanese advanced studies with Dorothy Korishoff. Very good. Back in the late 1980s, and spent time with Dorothy. I also spent a lot of time working with Megumi Bennett, which is very beneficial, and also Tony Bebb. I sort of work with Tony a fair bit, with him demonstrating and assisting with him and doing a lot of workshops with him. They're the three main people I've got a lot of ideas from. But since then, in the past sort of 15 years, it's just the travelling, going to conventions, seeing 5 different sort of bonsai experts working on stage and getting bits and pieces you want out of it yourself and putting your interpretation into it, which I don't mind doing, rather than sort of going to one person all the time, getting that one person's opinion on it, and that's the way it has to be done. I said, no, that's art. I want to do it my way. I've got my horticultural sort of training in there to watch the horticultural of the tree. I like to go get lots of other people's opinions and bring it into what I like to do as well. I've always liked penjing all the way through because I like that natural sort of look at the tree, more free-flowing and less locked into the rules and the guidelines like you do with bonsai as well. Bonsai is changing and evolving and heading back to its sort of roots within the tree as well. They're starting to open up their trees a little bit more, less foliage. They're starting to see into it. If you look some of the bonsai masters around, and you're seeing they're changing in their trees as well. They're sort of being a little bit more freedom, which is really good as well.
Easy to look after too.
Easy to look after these as well? Well, yeah, less maintenance. Just get those branches with massive pads of foliage, and this little gap in between takes a lot of work, and we can't employ people to do that, or we don't have that time to do that as well, or even the inclination, like I don't have to do that. I prefer something that's a little bit more open as well. I did work with Bjorn once, and he was styling this beautiful little Japanese driftwood style with me. I said, I'm never going to maintain that, Bjorn. Can we just stretch it and open it out a little bit? He said, no. So he squashed it back up again like this, and so I got the photos and looked great. I came home the next day, I got there and stretched it all out like this, and it was about sort of 6 years ago, and the tree looked really good. I ended up selling the tree because someone wanted to buy the tree, and they said, I want that tree. So okay, move it along. I've had my experience with it. And then last year we saw Bjorn, and now he's starting to say he's opening his trees up a lot more and putting a little bit more driftwood into him. He's loosening up a bit more, less strict with his guidelines. At last Bjorn's coming round to the dark side as well. Okay, I'll just sort of step across into here so I can turn that table. Remember, this zag or a zig, depends on what side of it is in. I really want to sort of try and hide or disguise a little bit. So I really want to sort of bend this branch down. This tree, big lush tree, we've gone through a few sort of, another sort of 100 years in the tree. It's had a few more storms, sort of died off, a bit of global warming's hit it from this side. The big forest over here was all chopped down for wood, so now this tree's getting a lot more wind and burnt on this side. This was the main sort of branch on the tree that's put in the age, so it did actually fall down, but then it wants to sort of come up as the new leader in the tree. It sort of happens as well. But being the artistic form, I want to try and hide a bit of the fault in through here, so I want to sort of bring this down as well. Again, more wire than we sort of bigger size than we want, so I can actually bring it down to when it does sort of come down and make sure it goes as well. When I normally do this home, I've got a sort of a branch jack where I can lock in on both sides and just slowly screw it in and screw it in and screw it in as well, but it's a bit sort of hard to sort of carry around. So this one we'll just sort of bring down. I want to sort of bring down and around, but I want to bring it this way because I like these ones here. I'll talk about these branches in a minute. So we're going to come down, down and around as well. If you're not sure, you can put raffia and things onto it, but these are really sort of quite flexible on the branches as well. And we're also going to bend that down through here. Yeah, if you just hold that sort of stable. Down. I'm trying to put zigzags in this as well as we're sort of going. I'm probably going to twitch some wire in there. Now I'm going to sort of straighten it out. And down. What have we got down here? That's a lovely little pad you've got happening down there, Mark. Very impressive. Got a future workshop man here and club president, if he's not on the committee already, you know, express for beginners. Okay, while you're holding it there, I still want to get a tighter curve in there as well. We now, as it's evolved, we can see we're not going to need this branch in through here, but we're certainly going to need that one. So I'll do, and if it's on the inside of a curve, I don't think we want it as a gin, or that one as well. So I'm just going to get another piece of bigger wire, and I'll brace that in a bit more. I love using aluminium wire because you can sort of reuse it and it's got that flexibility. If you go to your copper wire, you put it on, you bend it, you know it's going to bend. But a lot of people can't afford sort of the copper wire. So I use aluminium wire, so you know within the budget you can actually still do nice stuff with aluminium wire as well. The one benefit I do find with the copper wire, when you're putting something on and you want to twitch something to bring it in, the copper wire is really unbeatable for it. You do it sometimes with aluminium wire, you twitch and it'll just sort of break on you as well. So this is where you got to, if you go too big, you can't twitch it. If you go too small, it's not going to pull in as well. So yeah, I'm not putting massive amounts of pressure on here. So I'm not putting bits of bicycle tube over there and stuff. If we haven't got a point, we can actually loop it through. If I loop it through in here, I'm still going to end up with this sort of quite big sort of dome like this. So I don't want a dome, I want sharp angles within the tree as well. So I've got to come further up, so I've got to put a fair bit of pressure on the tree as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that there. You're going to get your ginning pliers with those. Right, no, I'm going to give you these ginning pliers. Okay. It's got my name written all over them. And when I get you to do it, just so people see, I'm actually going to twitch. I'll squeeze it in. So when you do it, you're actually going to pull. Because if you just turn it without pulling, you'll actually just turn it onto one spot, and that's where it's going to snap. So you've got to pull and turn. So you actually increase the spiral as it goes as well. So you're going to pull and turn, and you get yourself in a comfortable position. But you can't do that. I'm going to pull. I'm going to bend it. Stop. You let go of this hand. I'll do the bend and loosen the wire up, and you're just going to tension the wire for me. So all you're doing is you're controlling the wire. Don't you sit? You just pull the wire enough. I'm actually tensioning the branch, so I'll let you know when. That's it. Pull a bit of wire, a bit of tension. All right. Right, we'll stop at that. Yeah. That's better. Okay. So wire cutters, just here. I'll just shorten that down a bit in case we need to put a bit more in there. But by doing that, we've got a lot sharper bend within the tree as well. If I bend it out here, you'll end up with just a loop. We want a sharp bend as well, so we've pulled it in sort of quite tight here. I can tighten it up again by putting another big bit of wire in here, which we'll do in a minute as well. I just want to come back and work the rest of the tree to see how much I want to sharpen that as well. But what's now missing on that tree? Right? We can't see our narky little bend down the bottom there. We've hidden it. It's gone. That's what's sort of missing. It's still there, but it's not there. So we've hidden the sort of main sort of fault within the tree as well by bringing this down over the top. So now we'll sort of modify it to sort of shape it a little bit so it blends. So I'll just straighten this one out. I've got a lovely pad down the bottom here that marks wide up for us, which I think I'll just keep as is. Sure. What's he's got? Is it loose in there? No, we're going to bring it out to that side. It's going to go out that way. Yeah. Okay. What you've sort of done here, without not criticising wire, showing up, Mark's actually wired these two branches together. So now I want to move them into place. There's actually no wire in that tiny little sort of point in there. I'm not sure if Barry's sort of got that. So if I want to bend this around here, there's nothing in there I can bend in there. So if you ever generally want to wire two branches together, you would have been better off wiring one of these branches with that branch. So I've still got a little strip of wire through here so I can actually bend and manipulate that around. So I'll work with what we've got. I'll bring it around that way and bring them together. But it's always try never to sort of leave a bit of a branch somewhere unwired, because it's going to be Murphy's Law. That's the bit where you want to put a bend in it, and there's got no sort of bit of wire in there as well. So to be sure, we found Murphy's Law worked beautifully there, laddie. So we'll compromise, because now instead I'm going to go down with this one further and sit it out through that way. The other thing that's changing a little bit on the trees, what I'm learning with going through, some people have maybe heard of Black Scissors Association, which Robert Stevens sort of very involved in as well, where they sort of very much, they respect bonsai and they respect penjing, but also it's also anything goes. You do what you want with the trees. I mean, a couple of their conventions and the elaborate things they're doing on some of these trees, it's really elaborate and left to centre. It's a little bit stuff like Kimura started sort of doing with his carving as well, but with the Black Scissors, they've got a lot of guys, especially through Europe, are doing all sorts of strange things with the trees. But some of them don't look tree-like, but other things they do. But one thing I have liked and picked up out of it, normally we traditionally know that the first branch on our tree is always the first big main branch, and it's always coming towards us, and there's a second branch on the other side to give us a nice little sort of cuddle on the tree. What they've been doing and playing with, it really works well, is the first branch on the tree and the biggest branch on the tree, they use as a back branch on the tree, and it really gives some nice sort of depth into the tree by throwing it back. Normally you'll have a back branch on the tree, but it's just a little back branch thing like this sort of thing that gives a little bit of a hint somewhere back of the tree to give us a bit of three-dimensional to the tree. But they've been using a big major branch as a back branch of the tree, and that little sort of back branch of the tree, they'll bring it round and put it at the front. So they've just turned the two trees around, which sort of works well, because we've often done workshops where you've been working on the front of the tree, the front of the tree, the front of the tree, and all of a sudden someone down the audience says, wow, that tree looks great from this side, and they're looking at the back of the tree. You turn it around, oh, wow, hang on, yeah, the back does look at the front, so you can have two fronts. But using a back branch as a main branch as well. So we're going to use on this tree, here's our front of our tree that is now starting to evolve somewhere through this neck of the woods. So we've now got this far of the tree, and we've only just put somewhere of a bit of a frontal sort of direction of the tree as well. So this big long branch up here, we're going to use as a back branch to give us some sort of grace and sweepingness to the tree, but we're still going to do it as a drop branch of the tree, and we'll thin it out. So I want you to wire this branch for me.
Yep.
Then I want you to wire this branch. But I'll just reduce it down just a whisker into there, and you can wire that as well. So we've still got to come around the trunk, because I've still got to position this one nicely, round and out on one there, and then to wire this one, you can just start sort of halfway down through here somewhere, and come out and wire that one as well. So just to help things out a little, we're not going to need that one sitting under there, heading in towards the front through there, but this is a nice front. Branch going over this side, lovely little pad sitting there. I'd really love that branch up through here, but it's not there, unless we get Quinton up and he can do some grafting like he did on his Bloor studio today, and we'll just graft it up through there as well, but we want to get something happening a bit more tonight. So I'm going to use this one up here as a branch, so we'll take that off, but instead we'll turn it into a gin. So we're just going to have some sort of benefit out of the branch as well.
Gin that one there.
We're going to gin this one in here.
Yep.
Here's another branch that we can use back there to balance it up.
Yep.
So I've got all this small stuff, because it's a branch, but these things aren't really developing much into branches as well. I'm happy to take that one off, and we're going to gin that one as well. So we'll gin those two, wire those two, then I'll come back and see where we went as well. That sort of sits through there nicely. So I think we'll just nip that one out of there, and we'll see how that develops. Gin those off first, and I'll pinch my ginning pliers back. Yeah, you just went to grab, and I thought, I know. I'll just show you something. See this little thing here? It says BST, and it's Bonsai School of Tasmania. So it's not going to work. Yeah, you're an engraved. You can engrave that. You can rub it off as well. You're wiring away now. So that tree down there is evolving really well.